Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys, cover your favorite team every single game night, even in dramatic fashion, as your Dallas Mavericks get the 117-111 win. PJ Washington's go-ahead three-pointer with $1:58 left helps the Mavericks complete what was a 16-0 run over 4 minutes to get their win at home, their second straight win on their 4-game homestand. We'll break it all down here for you over the course of the next hour. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Bobby Carella on X, and you can find our guy Tim Cato at Tim_Cato. We'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, a little bit later on in the show. But gentlemen, a big win for the Dallas Mavericks. PJ Washington going off for what was 23 points and 14 rebounds. Dereck Lively, 21 points, 15 rebounds in a monster effort as the guys get the win. The good guys get the win over a game Blazers team on the second night of a back-to-back, Bobby Carella, as the Mavericks find a way to get it done at home against Portland tonight.
KG, what a win. I am in the chat, by the way. I see people saying, what are the odds that they're not looking at the chat? I am in the chat. I can see you. I'm trying to connect my YouTube account through the platform we're using. But what a win. What a game. I'm not going to lie, dude. Whenever they turned it over 2 times in a row trying to bring the ball up the floor early in the fourth quarter, I was about ready to admit that basketball is kind of like run its course and it's time to, just close up shop and move on, pivot to video or something. But, hey, they came back, and it was a lot of young guys that stepped up. One of the hallmarks of this team in this time without Luka or Kyrie, or without one of them or without both of them, is that Clay's had some moments, Dinwiddie's had some moments, Gafford's had some games, guys that have experience. But tonight it was the kids. It was Dereck Lively II. It was Jaden Hardy. It was Quentin Grimes. These guys are all, I don't actually know how old Grimes is, but Hardy's 24. Young, Lively's young, Grimes is young, inexperienced. PJ Washington's still 25, 26. It was those guys that did it. And that's just really encouraging. Really, really encouraging. And it was a really fun game and a fun win.
I know we say this a lot. I know it's kind of a bit, but a genuine best win of the season? I think so.
Yes.
I legitimately think this might have been the best one of the season. I am absolutely sure this was Dereck Lively's best game of the season. What a player. Still just 20. Quentin Grimes is 24, by the way, Bobby. He is by all standards. If you're under 25, you're young.
Yeah.
Or possibly under 32.
Yeah.
For my purposes. But
Dereck Lively. No. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Dereck Lively was amazing.
Real quick basketball reference stat. Dereck Lively II tonight, 21 points, 16 rebounds, 3 blocks. First Mav since KP to do that way back in December of 2019. The previous Mav to do that, if any of you guess this right, I'll give chat a minute to guess this too. The previous Mav to do it. Let me know who you think it was. Huh?
Nerlens Noel.
Ooh, that's a great guess, but no. That is a great guess, though.
Okay, I'm going to you said give it a minute, so I'm just going to lodge one more guess, and then here in a second you can say who it is. I'm going to guess Elton Brand would not have done that. Weirdly, something is telling me to say Sam Dalembert, or DeAndre Jordan wouldn't have scored that many points. Neither would Dalembert. So,
KG, you got any guesses?
Read the stat one more time because I want to make sure that I got it right.
21 points, 16 rebounds, 3 blocks. KP was the last one to do it in 2019, so the previous player to do it was before that.
What decade?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
What I wanted to say is that here, as you guys think,
it was before the championship season. I'll say that. So it was a while.
Oh, okay.
Sean
Bradley,
Antoine Jameson.
All right, so Sean Bradley, Antoine Jameson. I see Dirk Guest, Tyson, Eric Dampier, Luka, Brandon Wright, Boban. Great guess. Eddie Curry, how about that? DeJuan Blair, Troy Murphy, Dwight Powell, Rondo. No, Rajon Rondo never did that. Neither did Chris Gatling. The most recent Mav to do that before KP was Josh Howard.
Oh, wow.
New Year's Eve, 2006. So take that with you.
What I wanted to say about this win is that the offense got it done. They did not get it done in a particularly aesthetically pleasing way throughout a lot of this game, but they played quick when they could. This was not like the fastest paced game of the season by any means. There's a lot of possessions that ran almost to the 24 shot clock, but when they could run, they ran as much as they could. Quentin Grimes had that one amazing touch pass to Najee.
Yes.
Immediately followed a very well run 2-on-1 fast break, from Quentin Grimes that also fed Najee. When they could get out there, PJ Washington is turning into a bit of a menace in the transition. Like this is not something I remember from him last season. Here and there occasionally, but this is something where he is just he's got a lot of Luka where he is just so much bigger than you think. He's so broad-shouldered that he can just, kind of move somebody, with the side of his body, just, kind of not even elbowing, but just bumping them and getting all the way to the basket. That has become like a really dangerous weapon for him, for the team. And when you don't have Luka and Kyrie out there, you have to get some easy buckets. That really helps. And they certainly did that. And then they just found a way. They just kept finding ways. I will say, if I'm Portland, I'd be pretty upset about some of the whistles, especially down the stretch of the fourth quarter.
Oh man, the late whistle was working for the Mavericks late.
Travel slower in the snow. We all know that. It's science.
Yeah, and we're not PTLD, ND. This is DLLS, and we are, like that. That is, sometimes you're just going to get a benefit of the whistle like that. That's what we talked about, where to make up for Kyrie and Luka not being out there, you need some things to go right for you. You need a good shooting night. You need a way to find some points. And this was not a great shooting night, 10 of 30 overall. But they still found ways to get it done. They found ways to do it in, inside and just consistent. They didn't even, wasn't like even a huge turnover disparity. I mean, Dallas had 2 more turnovers than Portland, but they found a lot of sloppy buckets. And you know what? Those still count for 2 or 3 points, just the same. And so that's how Dallas got it done. And at this point, at this stretch of the season, that is, all that you can ask of them. It's the most important thing. Just get wins, no matter what they look like, no matter what it takes.
It felt like Dallas wanted to give Portland this victory all night long with the amount of turnovers that they had, whether it was smoking inbound plays, whether it be just inexplicable turnovers at times where every time it felt like the Mavericks had made a run to get themselves within 3, within 4, to build some momentum, they would have a costly turnover too. And next thing you know, Portland's running off an 8-0 run, a 9-0 run that pushed the lead back up to double digits. And it never felt like the Mavericks could get the kind of traction in order to sustain a run. But in that final 4.5 minutes, they found the defense. They found a late whistle from the referees at times when they needed it to. But more importantly, they started to get stops. They finally started getting stops in those last 4.5 minutes. Grimes had a really great turnover on Anthony Simons, him crossing half court, knocking it off him. Like, those are the kinds of plays that you kept looking for as the game went on. And the Mavericks stuck with it, and they were able to finally get some of those plays to go their way. And Tim, you talked about it, plenty throughout the course of the season, adversity or not. This team does not quit on games. And this is yet another example of them not quitting on a game where they felt like it was just may not have been their night with the lack of shot making in the first quarter, turnovers, but they stuck with it and they found a way in the end to get it done.
Yeah. And it absolutely is mentality. It starts with mentality. I mean, that's a real thing for a team to go into every game and believe they can win and to go down 10, 12, 13 points and to still believe they can fight back into it. That said, as much as mentality is a real thing, but also this is just a good team. And that's the thing, sometimes it doesn't matter how good a mentality is on a bad team. Maybe you're not trying to, you never quit, you never, stop trying. But if you're not talented enough, then, sometimes you're just going to lose. Sometimes a 10-point lead's going to become, or a 10-point deficit's going to become a 30-point deficit if you're just not talented enough. This is a really good team, though. This team is like, that's why, even during that 5-game losing streak, we were kind of talking around the fact of like, how much can you credit Dallas, or how much do you have to wipe this away because Luka and Kyrie are not out there. And I kept, in some ways trying to push back on that because I do think this team is good enough to win. And now they're showing it a little bit. They've shown it the past 2 games just because they have good players up and down the roster. I mean, you mentioned Quentin Grimes, and, there's a little chatter about him that I saw on Twitter today about, maybe he's the third option that Dallas is looking for. And I, a lot of it was talking about like his pull-up threes, his off-the-dribble threes. And I thought that was, even as an enormous Quentin Grimes believer here, and I think our entire show is, I was like, that might be a touch premature to think that this is all exactly sustainable. But, just the 3-point shooting, the idea that he's going to be like, that he could be like a 16, 18 point, like average that many for a season. But you know what he is? He is a good basketball player who finds a lot of ways to make plays. You referenced the steal that he had on Anthony Simons. I thought his defense was pretty good. For what he was being asked to do, the assists, the wacky, and one driving and one to that was essentially the dagger. And you look up and down the roster, and that's the case for Dereck Lively. Just a good basketball player. PJ Washington is a good basketball player. Najee Marshall had I thought a really tough, a really needed performance. Jaden Hardy came in and hit a bunch of really necessary shots. Looks better and better, kind of in this off-ball scoring role. As much as he stays true to that role, like he looks awesome of late. So yeah, it doesn't, these are not, it's not easy to win these games, and nobody's expecting them to be as good as we think their ceiling is. But if their ceiling is title contender, if their ceiling is as high as we think it is, I think that they can win games like this, and they can keep winning games like this against opponents that are not, top 10 in the NBA, as long as they have the rest of their guys healthy.
And Bobby, before we take our first break, there's one guy we haven't even mentioned yet, and he had a season high 25 points. Jaden Hardy has continued some really nice play over the last couple of weeks here, hitting some big shots, nailing some big threes as well. After what was a cold start for them in the first quarter, Jaden Hardy started to heat things up and offensively continues to fill it up for the Mavericks. And tonight had his best offensive game of the season, and they needed it with his shot making tonight.
Yeah, he hit half the team's threes. The Mavs hit 10. He hit 5 of them, and it only took him 9 attempts. It took everybody else 21 to make 5. So Hardy came out hot, and this goes back to, I think it was that Houston game. The Mavs got worked pretty bad that night. Kyrie didn't have much going on. Luka was out, but Hardy was really aggressive, and I think that was his second or third game back after missing some time with that ankle sprain. And J-Kid said right before that game that it was going to take him some time to regain his rhythm and stuff, and it looked like he found something that night. And since then, I think he's been really good. Just really aggressive. With aggression comes mistakes. It's going to happen. Don't dribble it off your butt out of bounds. I think that's definitely not something you should do. But, like, taking a weird shot every now and then is going to happen. That's fine. He bailed him out a few times, and he started hot, and, that's really important. I think down the stretch, it was a lot more PJ, a lot more Lively. But points in the first half are worth just as much as points in the second half. And he got off to a great start. And as, he's been on quite a tear lately.
One of the best three-point shooters in the league over the last couple of weeks as far as shooting the three ball from downtown, and he was big tonight once again for the Mavericks to be able to get what was a double-digit comeback in the last 4.5 minutes of this game to steal one against a Portland Trailblazers team that was game on the second night of a back-to-back. But your Mavericks find a way to get it done for their second straight win as they continue their 4-game homestand. Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. When we come back, we'll enter Cato's corner. We'll get his notes and thoughts on how this game went down for Dallas. Plus, a little bit later on in our show, our Mavericks turning point and our Mavericks, or a National NBA insider, I should say, Marc Stein will join us on the program as well. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
But first, it's time for me to complain about all the people in my life that have let me down. Starting first, DeAndre Ayton, you didn't get a double-double. All right.
Ooh.
Quentin Grimes, you had a pretty good game, but you choked at the end. You didn't get up to 15 points. Denny Avdia, who the heck are you? Klay Thompson, 0 threes. What's going on, guys? So my big swing for the fences did not hit tonight, but I'm still up on the season. I think I might even have a positive record, but I'm definitely up in the bank account. And that's really all that matters on Sleeper. If you think you know ball, use promo code DLLS Mavs. You can play $5, get $55 free. It is perfectly legal to deposit, to withdraw money in Texas. It's very easy. I do it quite a bit. It's a whole lot of fun. And it's known as more of a fantasy app, but now you can play Pick'em. Put your ball knowledge to the test. You know better than me. Do you want to complain about your least favorite players on the DLLS Mavs postgame show? Well, now, folks, here's your chance. Download Sleeper today.
And with the money that you win with Sleeper, you can get yourself a nice pair of polarized sunglasses from Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized sunglasses and shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames, as you see, that Bobby Carell is wearing right now, with crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all of your outdoor and, in Bobby's case, indoor activities. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off so you can look just as good as Bobby Carella today.
I look good in these.
You do look good. We do see all your business though through your shades, though. So you might want to take them off.
It's just y'all. I'm just watching y'all.
Do you look good, or is the polarization, is the tint just so strong that you can't actually see yourself?
Sunglasses add like 3 points to me. I'm not gonna lie. Sunglasses look good on me.
Really appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. Mavericks went 117-111 over the Portland Trailblazers, overcoming a 10-point deficit with 4.5 minutes left to get it done. PJ Washington's go-ahead three-pointer with 1:58 left gave the Mavericks a lead they would not relinquish as they now move to 2-0 on their homestand, 22-16 overall, and 12-6 at the American Airlines Center. Right now, it's time to hop into Cato's corner, though, and get our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato his thoughts and perspective on tonight's win, Tim. And for a team that had lost 5 straight, have now won 2 straight, finding some momentum, finding some mojo, if you believe in that sort of thing, because without Luka Doncic, without Kyrie Irving, guys are stepping up. And with the Mavericks having 6 guys at double figures tonight, they continue to lean on each other in a number of ways. And tonight was another good example of how they got it done in that way.
Yeah, so not at the arena, as you guys can see, decided to beat the chance of a freeze, but I will say that, I think you mentioned this as well, Bobby, but probably about 4 minutes left in the fourth, I turned to the person I was watching with and was like, "Oh yeah, they're not going to win this," because it looked like they had a chance to.
You don't know ball.
Well, you said it as well, didn't you?
Touche.
Well, I don't know ball, but when you say I don't know ball, you're not claiming that you do either. So, did you guys see what? That said, I'm going to bring you a couple quick reactions from players. Did you guys see what Najee and Quentin Grimes tweeted after the game?
Something about some LFG from Najee.
There was an LFG from Najee, but it was preceded with a. I don't want to yell.
Yell! It's your place. Yell! Why not?
Yeah, but he was saying a lot louder.
Ah! Just like that. Exactly.
That's better. Thank you.
If they would have played with that level of energy tonight, they would have lost by 60.
And then Quentin Grimes did something very similar with a lot of yelling. As Cam points out in the chat, this team has done this a lot. They've had a lot of fake comebacks where it looks like they're going to get back in it, and then it slips away, and then they're going to get back in it, and then it's going to slip away. And so for them to actually come through with the mentality, but also just the quality, the good play, like they played well, and it was about time that after. You think back to that 4-game losing streak, at the start of the year, You know, it was a bad time, you know, around the Mavericks universe. But at the same time, like, so much had to go wrong in all of those games for them to lose all 4 of those by 1 possession. There's a lot that went right in this game. Like, I'm still kind of stunned that the challenge actually worked. The challenge, the last one where PJ Washington, they said he did get ball first and then wrist. It sure looked like wrist to me. And then they changed it to a Dereck Lively foul, which also Dereck Lively only finished with 3 fouls. He did a really good job there, even going up against a big boy and Donovan Clingan. But yeah, like, Dallas got out of that possession without allowing points. And so this was just, you know, you have to have stuff go right sometimes. When Luka and Kyrie's not out there, like, that is just going to be the scenario. That's just the reality. But for Dallas to consistently do this, the one guy we haven't mentioned is Spencer Dinwiddie. And I'm going to be honest, when I went to double check his box score, I expected to see a lot more than 12 shot attempts and 5 3-point attempts. And, you know, got to the free throw line, so ended up with a pretty efficient night. Some of the free throws, again, were, you know, Jim just kind of barreling in there and getting whistles. But hey, you know, if you score 17 points on 15 shots, and if you do that and I think this has been important, you know, you definitely saw it against the Lakers, but we saw it a little bit more tonight. He shot 5 threes and missed 4 of them. But I do think that we're seeing a more consistent, you know, just desire for him to get into the paint, to try to beat his man, to get 2 feet into the paint, to see what happens once he gets there, because it's so much better for this Mavericks offense when they do that. You know, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I could probably find it, but you know, they score at just such a better rate when they get a paint touch. This is something that was really important last season. It's still very important this season. It's important to every single team in the entire NBA. But I think it's very, very important to this team because they do have a bunch of guards who can sometimes settle a little bit, and it's all of their it's hard to drive to the rim, and it's really hard to do that against NBA level defenders and to do it like 20 times a game. It's hard to do it in a pickup game. Like you know, you do it a few times in a row, and you're like, man, I'm a little bit gassed, because like these are explosive. Like the amount of explosiveness, the amount of, you know, energy it takes to just beat a player in the NBA is very difficult. And then they're flying up, you know, much closer to the rim than I think any of us would, playing pickup, and you know, the contacts, the collisions, everything that happens from there. So, So yeah, it's often a lot more fun to just kind of do a little step back, because, oh my gosh, it's really cool when it goes in. But for this offense to be its best, and especially they have to be really diligent about it when they don't have their superstars, it does take a heads down desire and mentality to make sure that this team is still maximizing their chances to put up efficient scoring nights.
Bobby, it felt like when the game started to turn around for them, obviously the Mavericks started getting downhill. It felt like attacking the rim, whether it was in transition or even in the half court, to try and put pressure on Portland, make the referees make a call. And to their benefit, the Mavericks went to the line 30 times in this game, going 27 of 30 from the free throw line. It felt like that's when they finally were able to not only on the defensive end get some things done, but more importantly, get downhill, attack, and put pressure on Portland to force them into situations. And they were able to take advantage of it and then knock down free throws to be able to keep themselves with that comeback going there.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's using your defense to help your offense. It's hard to run off makes. It's a lot easier to run off misses. In the first half, Mavs had 8 fast break points. In the second half, they had 16 fast break points. A lot of misses at the rim. And whenever you as the offense miss at the rim, it is really tough to get back and defend, because you got one guy that's missed a layup that's going out of bounds, probably complaining to the official. You have at least one guy in the corner, maybe guys in either corner, spotting up, ready to shoot, that didn't get the ball, so now they got to hightail it back 94 feet. And then you usually have a big that's in the dunker spot or rolling to the rim. So everyone is going this way, but the ball is going back this way. And one big difference between tonight's fourth quarter and the fourth quarter whenever the Mavs lost in Portland a couple weeks ago is the Mavs were forcing a lot of misses at the rim. Portland in the fourth quarter in the game they lost was 7 of 13 on shots in the lane. In the fourth quarter alone, 14 points. right in the paint. They were just going ruthlessly at Gafford and Maxey. Lively didn't play that game. Tonight, in the fourth quarter, the Blazers were 5 of 14 on shots in the paint, which is, I'm doing my math, 35.7%. Lively was on the floor for maybe the entire fourth quarter, at least. Yeah, the entire. He played all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter tonight.
He sure did.
Blocked some shots, contested some shots. Thought he did more than hold his own on switches, forced some tough step backs. They made some.
That's what happens when you stay out of foul trouble if you're Lively.
Yeah, but I mean, he was putting the fear of God in those guys, and he was forcing misses, whether it was on the perimeter or at the rim, and then credit to guys like Quentin Grimes, PJ Washington, Najee, Spencer for digging in and getting those rebounds. Portland did not have as many second chance points in the second half as they did in the first half. They had the same number of offensive rebounds, but a lot of that was just tip garbage. They limited them to one shot for the most part, and then they got out and ran. And, whenever it's a fast break and you're stampeding toward the basket, you're a lot more likely to draw fouls. So Dallas was able to use their defense to turn it into a full court game because, I mean, their offense in the second half and in the half court in the second half wasn't very good. A lot of turnovers, still missing a lot of threes. They were really, really good, though, in the open floor. And again, that's using your defense to help your offense, which is what they're going to have to do for as long as Luka and Kyrie are out.
When Dallas got a defensive rebound, a live ball defensive rebound, so not something just that got tipped out, they ended up with their transition play 35% of the time in this game. That's a huge number. It's not like 100th percentile stuff, but that is
for them it is.
For them it's very high, and for league average it's like you're going to see that 1 of every 5 games or so. And so there was just such a commitment from everybody to get the ball out of there. I mean, I remember even one play where it was like kind of a steal scramble situation, and I think it ended up okay for Dallas, but Quentin Grimes tried to kind of pick it up and run with it, and didn't quite have it with him. But I think that was just that was a bang play. I'm not trying to overanalyze anything, but for the team's mentality to show like throughout this entire game that they were constantly, always pushing forward as much as possible, and that most of the time you're playing 4 guys that you're comfortable taking the ball up the court. When PJ's out there, he's your 4, and he is one of the most dangerous transition players as we covered as anybody else on this team. And so PJ can do it, Jaden Hardy can do it, Quentin Grimes can do it, Spencer obviously is going to do it. Maybe Klay Thompson is like the one other outlier outside of the centers and Maxey, who isn't going to be, but he's a transition threat. There's no doubt about that, even if he's not a, immediately get the ball up the court with a live dribble. So, this is what we talked about all the summer about Dallas was building a team that was more competent, more capable of self-creation, of doing stuff with the ball in their hands, that it doesn't always have to be the Luka and Kyrie show. So I thought that was, a really smart emphasis and something that really paid off for Dallas tonight.
And it did so in a big way for the Mavericks, who were able to compose themselves in the last 4.5 minutes. Obviously, the turnovers at different points of the game were very frustrating, but at the same time, they made the necessary plays down the stretch, keeping balls alive, whether it be on offensive or defensive rebounds. Dereck Lively was big in that as well. And then, of course, Grimes with the dagger with 31 seconds left with that floater, getting the and one that gave the Mavericks that 115-109 lead. And they are the ones that find themselves on the winning end of tonight's game, a big one at the American Airlines Center, especially now knowing that Denver's coming in for a couple of games starting on Sunday afternoon. Being able to get to 2-0 on this homestand before Nikola Jokic and those boys rolling here is big for them to be able to not only get some rest for a couple of days, but obviously get ready to take on a talented Nuggets team a lot from there. So, Tim, we appreciate you, man, braving the elements tonight as well, and doing fantastic reporting as always, my man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you on the show tomorrow at 12:30.
Appreciate you guys holding it down, and see you then.
All right, man.
Bye, Tim.
That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. You can find him on X at Tim_Cato. When we come back, we'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, to get his thoughts and perspective on tonight's game, plus the turning point of this game. You know what it was in the last 4.5 minutes of that fourth quarter. We'll break it down even further coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. But it's bowl season right now in college football. Notre Dame finding themselves down by 7 to Penn State. Penn State trying to clinch their spot in the CFP National Championship game. But once the semifinals are over with, you got to get ready for the East-West Shrine Bowl, America's oldest college football all-star game being held right here in the heart of Texas on January 30th. Be a part of history in the making at the 100th East-West Shrine Bowl at AT&T Stadium. Since 1925, the game has benefited Shriners Children and its mission to provide innovative pediatric specialty care to improve and transform the lives of children. So you can see some of the nation's top college football players play in this head-to-head competition ahead of the NFL draft. The East-West Shrine Bowl has served as a starting point for many noteworthy NFL careers, including 80 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and more than 200 members of the College Football Hall of Fame as well. Tickets start at just $20. So visit shrinebowl.com to get your tickets today. Again, go to shrinebowl.com to get your tickets starting at just $20 for the oldest college football all-star game, the 100th edition at AT&T Stadium on January 30th. Be there and don't miss it.
Started by two college buddies. Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, or bar. Check out their new Essentials collection featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting for only $75. They got Texas, they got A&M, they got Tech, they got Oklahoma, they got Oklahoma State. They do not have Tim Cato's UNT or my UTD, or maybe they do. There's only one way to find out. It's to check. Unlike traditional neon, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love, and they can last up to 100,000 hours. And they're also low voltage, so they don't get hot. They're always safe to the touch, which is great if you have kids or pets or anything like that. They're the perfect gift for any holiday season, not just for Christmas. I know the holidays are over, but it's never too late to support your team, especially UT because they play tomorrow. Head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign. Again, SaturdayNeon.com. Use code DLLS for 10% off.
Shout out to the over near 300 people. Shout out to the near 300 people watching us live right now on the DLLS Mavs post-game show, and also the near 100 folks watching our DLLS Stars post-game show, as well as the Stars get a big win over the Philadelphia Flyers 4-1 as well. So make sure that you could check out both the Mavs post-game show and the Stars post-game show as the boys are cooking right alongside us right now simultaneously as the Mavericks get the 117-111 win at the American Airlines Center over the Portland Trail Blazers to move to 22-16 on the season and 12-6 at home so far this year. And right now we are joined by our national NBA insider. You can find him on X at the Stein line. We could always dial up the Stein line for our guy, Marc Stein. Marc, what's going on?
Guaranteed.
Tanner, hit it for Marc since he's in here. Your next winnable game next Wednesday on the road against the Pelicans.
Second night of back-to-back.
No, Thursday night against Portland is the next winnable game.
They lost to Portland with Kyrie on the floor.
Scored 46.
They're going to beat Portland on Thursday.
Whoa! Okay, are you willing to say it?
Are you putting a guarantee on that one? All right, we'll leave it there.
I mean, they were down PJ and Najee in the last one.
Look, I guess for me, because I know how
Guaranteed!
Oh, wow. Oh, he put the guarantee on it.
Mark that.
Yeah, please mark that.
All
I
right,
guess.
am I 0-1 on guarantees this season?
I don't know.
I don't remember any.
I did one, and I think they lost.
Well, guess what? He's 1-1 now with his guarantees. He is, of course, Marc Stein. Marc, this is your time to shine, my guy.
No,
you called it. You guaranteed it.
No. I cannot shine. I cannot gloat. I cannot strut. I cannot talk trash. Because when they cut it to 4 at 103.99 and Sharp and Kamara immediately drained threes, I was like, nope, it ain't happening. For some reason, the Portland Trailblazers are Stephen Curry, Reggie Miller, Klay Thompson, Ray Allen. It's the only team they make threes against. I was like, nope, there ain't. The guarantee is going to be 0-2. And let's be honest, man. None of us saw a 16-0 run coming at that point.
No, not at all. I mean, you mentioned it. Every time it felt like the Mavericks were building some momentum to sustain a potential comeback, a turnover here, a missed shot there, and then the Blazers come down and knock down a couple threes. You mentioned they go up 10 at 109-99 with 4.5 minutes left. But Marc, it's something that we've been discussing on this program, even with the adversity that this team has gone through. They have not quit on ball games, and they did not give up on tonight's game either, despite the turnovers, despite the missed shots and the poor start, shooting-wise. At one point, the Mavericks missed 10 straight shots in the first quarter. It didn't feel like they was going to get a bucket, to save their lives, but they kept sticking to it, and they found a way. I think that's the theme of tonight's show, is finding a way, even with the Portland Trailblazers on the second night of a back-to-back. The Mavericks got it done, and they did it with their defense, especially down the stretch.
They ain't going to apologize. And there is no such thing as a bad win when you don't have Luka Doncic and you don't have Kyrie Irving. So it was, it took all night. We didn't see it till the last 4 minutes. I think Portland's youth played a huge role in this thing. I mean, I can only imagine what Chauncey Billups was saying in the coach's office after that game, to just have control for 44 minutes and then watch his team unravel. But again, with the situation the Mavs are in, because of the conference they live in, ain't going to be no apologies tonight. They're relieved and thrilled that they found some defensive steal late. And I thought Bobby made a great point in the first two segments. I did listen to those first two segments. It's funny that you called segment 2 the Cato corner, because I felt like segment 1 and segment 2 were the Cato corner. Of you, like, I don't know if you guys have said 25 words combined all night. But Bobby, in one of the rare sentences that Bobby was permitted to utter in the first two segments, I thought he made a great point that this was a night for the youngsters. Jaden Hardy, a month ago, it looked like they had very little faith in Jaden Hardy, and he's put together a nice little run here. And look, he's, the ball handling, the decision making, those are areas that to keep it real, to keep it a buck, as the kids would say, still need improvement, still need a lot of refinement. But we know he can score, and this week he has been delivering very, very, very timely offense for a team that needed it. But like Bobby said, Hardy, Lively with his best game of the season. Quentin Grimes, I guess I didn't even realize Quentin Grimes was still under 25. Point to Cato's corner for pointing that out. So, that they have no margin for error in their current state. They've got to get games from 5 and 6 different guys, and it's probably going to be different guys because these are all role players. It's not going to be the same 3, 4, 5 guys every night, but they need a slew of contributors to try to offset what they're missing with their superstars. If they only get a game from 2 or 3 guys, they're not going to win. It doesn't matter who. I mean, it doesn't matter who they're playing. The Blazers have proven that to the Mavericks multiple times now already. There is just no margin for error the way they are set up right now.
Hey, Marc, you know J-Kid pretty well after all these years. It seemed like a few months ago no one knew how he felt about Quentin Grimes, but we did see him get a DNP CD, and now Grimes is getting a ton of minutes. You just mentioned Hardy. It seemed like a month ago, and I'm right there with you. I mean, he was getting practically DNP'd whenever we thought that he was going to be a big-time part of the rotation, maybe coming into the season. But now he's played pretty well for the last couple weeks. How long does a guy need to do that, or at least be progressing, or be productive, or star in winning efforts, or whatever the case may be, in order to get out of that, I don't know how to feel about that guy's zone with either a coach like J-Kid or with the Mavs in general?
Well, I remember asking at the time, because you remember that J-Kid post game. Of course, now I don't remember the opponent. I'm sure one of you will remind me who that opponent was, but that was as mad as we've ever seen Jason Kidd in a post game setting. Most of it was directed at the team in general, but it did seem like Grimes was singled out. And then the next game he got a DNP, and I even asked,
that was against Denver when he got that DNP.
Did Grimes take it personally that, the coach he publicly went at him a bit. But if you remember the game after the DNP CD, didn't he start? He definitely got major minutes, and he might have even started.
He did.
And the retort to me was, what are you talking about? J-Kid went right back to him after the DNP and showed his faith in him. And what we've seen since has backed that up totally. That Quentin Grimes responded to that in the best way possible. And it was it seemed like a big deal to us in the audience of that post-game session. But within the Mavericks walls, it really was nothing. And it just shows again that, I mean, J-Kid, as not just a former player, but a Hall of Famer, I think behind the scenes, he knows how to talk to all these guys. And the rapport, for the most part, is there. But all the credit to Quentin Grimes. He did not utter one word of protest, one word of dismay. Just with his, he started here rough. There was all the noise about not doing the contract extension. And he has just become an indispensable part of this team. And it's you just got to chapeau. I mean, the guy he just does it with his play. And he's been really solid. And again, between Grimes, Dinwiddie, and Najee Marshall, I firmly believe if they can get two of those guys playing well every night, they've at least got a chance. Because, you are not replacing Luka and Kyrie. There is no trade. There's no stopgap move you can make to try to bring someone in here to replicate what they do. They're going to have to depend on the playmaking they do have. But again, I don't think it's a night-to-night. You can't expect night-to-night consistency. But as long as two of those guys are playing well, they've got a shot. And, let's see if Exum comes back. This is by no means definitive, but I was kind of said, end of January is probably a more realistic timeline than, because the initial mention of 3 months has elapsed. It's obviously going to take longer than that. So there's nothing firm about when we're going to see Exum. And look, he's going to need he's missed a long time now. I mean, it's been a long time since he's been in game condition play. But, let's see if they can get Exum back end of this month, start of Fed. Can they get Exum back? Let's even make it a little bit more conservative. Can they get Exum back before the All-Star break to start working him back in? That would be huge, too, just to add some depth to the backcourt, because they were insanely deep in the backcourt when the season started and considerably less so if you don't have your two superstars.
Yeah, because these guys are getting a lot of miles. The amount of wear and tear that they are getting, the more depth that they can have to help supplement some of the play that they have right now, the better it's going to be. And Mark, one of the things I think, Bobby would agree as well is, the confidence that these guys continue to gain, being put in big spots to have to perform. Once Luka and Kyrie come back, it's only going to serve them that much better to be able to handle themselves in key spots and moments to be dependent on to win games down the stretch, no matter where they are positionally, in the Western Conference. I think that for me is what stands out, whether it's the win tonight, the win against the Lakers, even in the loss against Cleveland. Grimes, to the specific example, is showing that he can start to handle this on a more consistent basis. That only bodes well for them as we continue throughout the course of this season here for Dallas.
That was for Bobby, wasn't it? I'm letting the Corellustrator have the floor.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was for you, Mark.
I mean, look, I'll just say real quick.
Either one.
I'll just say real quick. I mean, you would rather have Luka and Kyrie, obviously.
For sure.
And their seeding is going to be impacted by the time that their two superstars are missing, no question. So I don't want to say silver lining, but the notion that this will be a more well-rounded team going forward, as long as Luka and Kyrie can come back and stay healthy, this time, all these games that these guys have to play without them, there's no question they will be a more well-rounded team. But again, that's scant consolation. The Mavs, this was the season the Mavs were supposed to get a top 3 seed finally for the first time in the Luka era. And it's going to be really hard to do that if we don't see Luka until next month. And we still don't have a great feel for how long Kyrie's going to be out. But I have to say again, when they initially said a week or two, all of us said back injury. I mean, this is a lower back injury. How can it be that quick? But the fact that Kyrie is on the well enough to be on the bench, I do think that's a sign that you know, the Mavericks can hope that this is not going to be as long an absence for Kyrie as it is for Luka. But you know, there is going to be some down the road benefit. What all of what Hardy, what Grimes, what Dinwiddie, the roles that these guys have to take on now down the road in the playoffs, it will serve them well.
Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. When we come back, more with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, including what was the turning point of this game as we look at the chat as well to get your thoughts on how you felt about tonight's game. All that and more coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show.
But first, it's another party. It's another party on the internet with us and all of our friends. There's almost 300 of y'all still hanging out. It is snowy outside. It was a slog in the mud and the slush at the American Airlines Center for most of that game, but then the ending was awesome, and so we get to party here. But, hey, whether it's a win or a loss, we're bringing you pre- and post-game coverage for every single Mavs game all season, for every single Stars game, Cowboys, Rangers, whenever they get rolling, and more teams on the way as well here at DLLS Sports. And all the stuff that we're doing on YouTube is free. But if you want to take your support for us one step further than just liking the stream, subbing to the channel, being active in the chat, and all that stuff, you can – oh, man, a mirror image is tough. You can scan the QR code right there. There you go. Oh, KG. Oh, there you go, KG. Right there. You can click the link in the description below, or you can go to alldlls.com. That is our website. Again, alldlls.com/diehard. And for less than $7 a month, you can become a diehard. When you do that, you get a free shirt when you sign up. You also get a discount on any other stuff you might want from our website, which includes hoodies, mugs, cups, more than 35 different unique shirt designs with more on the way. We got some Luka and Kyrie's themed stuff coming soon as well, which is good. Only they're hurt, so it's not here yet. You also get to read our entire website, all the post-game stuff from Tim, all the features and analysis from all the writers on our illustrious staff. You get to join the DLLS Discord server, and KG and Marc Stein, you get your physical diehard card.
That's right.
You get the card. You can hold it up. I don't think you can scan it on anything. It's like more for show. But it does signal to everybody that you are the coolest effing person in your whole social circle. That is until all your friends join too. So, again, thank you for supporting the stream, for watching, for chatting, for liking, for subbing, doing all that stuff. We're close to 13,000 subs on the channel. But also, if you wanted to become a diehard, that is an option as well. Shout out to West, to Brent, and to Andrew. They have all signed up to become diehards since our last show. So shout out to those three and to everybody else watching the stream and everyone else out there in the whole wide world.
AllDLLS.com. Become part of our DLLS Sports family. Make sure you tag us on social media when you do. And we want you to become part of what we've got going on here at DLLS Sports. As we continue here and finish up on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, Mavericks win 117-111 over the Portland Trail Blazers for their second straight win, and now move to 2-0 on their current 4-game homestand. Now 12-6 at the American Airlines Center so far this year, 22-16 overall. They move into a virtual tie for the 4 seed in the West with the Denver Nuggets, who are at 21-15. Mavericks now at 22-16. Oh, by the way, boys and girls, the Nuggets come into town starting on Sunday afternoon to take on your Dallas Mavericks. So
baseball series.
Yeah, kind of. You got the Sunday-Tuesday version this time around because the Mavericks will play Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and then they will play again on Tuesday evening in what is going to be a nationally televised game, I believe, on TNT. So the TNT treatment once again on Tuesday.
This is truly like playoff series replica because we got a Sunday afternoon game. Isn't it a late tip on Tuesday night?
I believe.
I think the Mavs are the second game on the TNT Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. They tip off at 8:30. So there you go,
so
Bobby. Late
you got the Sunday 2 p.m. game, which dagger for all of the fans in the Balkans who would have gotten a Jokic v. Luka head-to-head in prime time. So that is definitely a bummer that we won't see that showdown on Sunday. And then a late Tuesday night tip that really does feel like 2 games in the playoffs. A Sunday afternoon tip and then a late weeknight deal. And I think, obviously, I think you guys know by now that I hate the baseball series because I think as we've seen over the last 5 years that home court advantage in this league is eroding. It's harder than it's ever been in NBA history for home teams to win games. And to me, it is a huge advantage for the Nuggets to come in here and after a Sunday day game to get 2 full nights of rest where they don't have to travel, don't have to unpack, don't have to do anything before Tuesday night's game. By Tuesday, the Nuggets should be very comfortable. So if the Nuggets can steal the first one, it gives them a great advantage in the second game. And if the Mavs win the first one, it gives the Nuggets a lot of comfort to be able to steal a split. So I hate it for the home team, but honestly, after all the trouble that the Mavericks have had with Portland, I think they're ready to see just about anybody. I mean, the weird stat, I don't know how this keeps coming up. We had the only 4 home games in 40 days. They just played the Blazers 4 times in 40 days, which again is just another weird schedule quirk. But they won 3.
This was the third game in the last 17 days that the Mavericks have played against the Blazers.
They won. They played the Blazers on December 1st, and then the 3 games in 17 days. Just Dallas won 3 of them, but only one was comfortable. That they lost the one up there, and the first one up there was the Mavs still don't know how they won that one when Portland shot 58% from both 2 and 3. So, the Mavericks will gratefully take their 3 wins against Portland and not have to see them again.
And the turning point of this game came in that fourth quarter. You can't underscore it enough. I mean, with the game being the Mavericks were down 109-99 with 4.5 minutes left. They proceed to go on what was a 16-0 run to go up 115-109 with 31 seconds left after Quentin Grimes' dagger with the and one. But 2 players I want to highlight tonight, and they're going to get a lot of love. We've talked about Jaden Hardy. We've talked about Quentin Grimes and the play that they had. I mean, but to get what was combined 29, 30 rebounds between P.J. Washington and Dereck Lively II. I mean, you look at a couple of moments that I think will go, not mentioned as much, but the Mavericks went 2 for 2 on challenges tonight, including what was a challenge that actually worked out in their favor because P.J. Washington gets a block, but they wind up calling a loose ball foul on Dereck Lively, but they were able to get a shot clock violation on Portland to be able to steal a possession there. And then, of course, Lively gets an offensive rebound on a Dinwiddie missed 3-pointer that keeps a possession alive that eventually gets Grimes, the opportunity, for the and one. I just thought the relentless play from both of them all night long. And Bobby, you mentioned it, Dereck Lively playing all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. This is what happens when he stays out of foul trouble. He can be as effective as he was on both ends of the floor, including the 3 blocks that he had. I thought Dereck Lively was absolutely terrific tonight in a lot of ways for Dallas to win this game.
Yeah, and they really trusted him to switch on to smaller players, too. He was switching on to Sharp and Simons a lot down the stretch in this game. He defended 7 ISOs, so isolations, in the fourth quarter. The Blazers scored 5 points total on those 7 ISOs, and 3 of those came on an Anthony Simons deep step-back 3. It was a great shot, but, I mean, Lively forced a guard to take a 28-foot step-back 3. Like, that alone is a win.
Was that Simon? Did I say it was Sharp? Was it Simons who made that 3? It was
maybe it was Sharp. I don't know.
There was the one late from the wing, and then Kamara made one from the other wing, and that was when it.
Okay.
And that was like when it was like, man, this game is over.
Doomsday. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, Najee just handing them the ball out of the inbound. That was really tough too. But they didn't really trust Lively, or I guess I should say they didn't allow Lively. I don't know if it was a matter of trust or not, but Lively did not switch onto guards very often last season up until the playoffs. He did it a little bit against Shea in the OKC series, did it a little bit against Wolves players in the conference finals. Obviously, you kind of have to switch against the Celtics. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, you're going to give up a bunch of open threes. So as the playoffs went on, he started switching more and more. And he's done that this season whenever he has not been in foul trouble. If you're a big and you have 2 fouls in the first quarter or 2 fouls in the second quarter, other guards are going to see red whenever you switch onto them, and they are going to make sure that you hack them. But tonight he played with discipline, and the Blazers kept testing him. They kept going at him. The Mavs kept switching, and it made it a lot easier to stomach switching Lively into guard because they went small for a lot of that fourth quarter. Once they brought back Klingon in the game, it's harder to switch because if you switch, like, say, Dinwiddie onto Klingon, then Klingon's just going to post him up, put his hand up, turn around and dunk. But with the Blazers playing small, it was Chris Murray at the 5 or Tumani Kamara, whoever you want to say nominally playing center. Lively could just switch off them and say, hey, there's no one that can punish the small. I'm a big, but I trust myself to contest this pretty well without fouling. Let's play. And the Blazers couldn't crack the code. And whenever you switch like that, whether it's Lively or anybody else, you're containing the action. You're not giving up anything. The Blazers took 24 shots in the fourth quarter. Sharp and Simons combined to take 19 of them. Other guys were not touching the ball. This is a team in Portland where everyone was hot early in the game. The ball was popping. Bigs were scoring. Wings were shooting threes. It was a guard-heavy, ridiculously guard-heavy offense in the fourth quarter, and the Mavs made him pay.
I will say, to the Blazers' credit, I thought Donovan McClingan was good in this game. He had 11 points and 11 rebounds, and definitely you could tell that the game is starting to get slowed down for him, and he's playing a lot better, I feel like, these days for Portland. They've got a good big man there, and Donovan McClingan, the rookie out of UConn. But, I mean, the big men for Dallas, specifically, I should say, for Dereck Lively, I mean, the Mavericks out-rebounded the Blazers 53-43 overall. We mentioned it going 27 of 30 from the free throw line. It felt like at times, Marc, the turnovers, the offensive rebounds that the Blazers kept constantly getting, it just felt like at times this was just not going to be the night for Dallas. But it was, we mentioned earlier, and interested to hear your perspective on it too, this is a team, no matter what they face, injury, adversity, they have not quit on games, even games that they've lost. This could have been easily another one of those games where they just let go of the rope, but they simply didn't do it. And I think that speaks to a lot of the credit of these players on this team for the way that they continue to compete no matter where they are in these games.
Again, when they cut it to 4 and Portland answered with 2 immediate threes to take the lead back up to 10, I thought it was over. And I was thinking, like, what is that locker room going to be like after they just beat the Lakers? And then this would be such a step back. And to find what they found and to go on a 16-0 run late. And again, I feel we need to say it again. I think Portland's youth and inexperience did contribute. But again, the Mavs ain't going to apologize. They need every win they can scrounge while they're waiting for Luka and Kyrie to get healthy. So to be able to follow a losing streak that had a lot of people deflated with 2 wins in a row, and to now get 2 full days off before having to face the challenge of having the Nuggets in their own building twice in a row. And, you know, we've been talking about it all season. For all the issues Denver has, Jokic is playing the best basketball we've ever seen him play in the NBA, which is saying something. Like, normally, you know, the Nuggets are not winning enough for him to be an MVP contender, but Luka, Embiid, Ja Morant, these guys are not going to play enough games to be in the MVP race. So Jokic, even with Denver, not on a 50-win pace currently, I believe. I should double-check that math. I don't believe that the Nuggets are currently on a 50-win pace, or if they are, it's barely 50. Like, Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have pretty much put themselves at the top of the MVP race. I think Giannis has to be there as well. So, you know, we're going to see Jokic up close and personal, and obviously he presents a bazillion challenges that the Corella Strader can spend the next 48 hours trying to diagram counters. There ain't any, though. I mean,
they don't exist.
I got one for you. His name is Dereck Lively II. He relishes playing against Nikola Jokic.
Okay. Okay. let's I mean, look, Lively was terrific tonight, and I hope you're right, but that man is man.
Nikola Jokic is a bad dude. Like, it goes without saying. I mean, 3 MVPs in the last 4 years. I mean, he's a bad. You know what? Shut your mouth. That kind of thing. You know, like, he's great. Like, we know how good he is. I am interested though to see how the Mavericks, as we finish up here, you know, carry what has been the last couple of games into Sunday. You mentioned it, Marc, with a couple of days off here to kind of get themselves a little bit of rest before welcoming in, you know, the Denver Nuggets. That the kind of confidence that hopefully they're gaining with each win and the way that they're playing, I think the goal would be to get a split against Denver. We know how good that they can be. If you can get a split against this team, I think that would be a win for Dallas.
Jokic went to DC this season, scored 56, and the Nuggets lost.
That is true.
They are prone to, some off nights. They have not. I don't think they'll have Gordon. I should have the updated injury status on him at my fingertips, and unfortunately I don't. But they've had to play without him recently. Michael Porter Jr. has actually had a pretty strong season despite all the trade noise that has swirled around him. I mean, yeah, I think the Mavs probably, if they were being honest with us, if we forced them to give us an answer right now, they probably would take a split. But Denver's been very inconsistent. As even with Jokic being otherworldly right now. So it will be a I'm obviously more of a neutral than pretty much anybody in this YouTube session right now. So but I think even if you love the Mavs as much as the Corellistrator, like, it's pretty hard not to appreciate what Jokic can do. So to get to see him play here 2 games in a row, that is a treat that I will relish.
Well, that'll do it for us here on our DLLS Mavs postgame show. The Mavericks win 117-111 for their second straight win, moved to 22-16 on the season, now 12-6 at home. Monster nights from P.J. Washington with 23 points and 14 rebounds. Dereck Lively with 21 and 15 and 3 blocks. Jaden Hardy, a season-high 25 points as the Mavericks overcome a 10-point deficit in the final 4.5 minutes to finish the game with a 16-0 run to get the win over the Portland Trail Blazers. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, you got something, Marc, before we go?
I just feel like you guys have barely got to say anything for an hour. I feel bad.
I didn't know.
But I'm mostly blaming Cato, though.
Well, guess what? We got another chance to talk tomorrow at 12:30 right here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. A regular show, boys and girls. How about that? A regular show for us tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. So make sure you tune in right here on DLLS.
And everybody be safe out there, man. Be safe.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Make sure you take your time on the roads if you have to be. Otherwise, keep yourselves as safe as possible. And again, thoughts and prayers to those in California dealing with the wildfires out there as well. Unfortunate devastation taking place. So our thoughts and prayers we send, of course, to our brothers and sisters in California. That'll do it for us here for our National NBA Insider, Marc Stein, our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. That is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Carella. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. right here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.